At first, I know a lot of effort is to try and stick with your friends and work in a group like that. But what I found is that it's not always the best scenario to try and go straight to your friends, but rather find people who share good strengths in specific material that you're going to have to do for the group assignment.
I think it's important to focus on the group. What are people interested in? What are their abilities?
If my group is already assembled for me and whatnot, I find that the biggest thing to do is start to set parameters and understand the quality and what everyone can offer within that group.
So usually I'd want to start up a Google Doc or a Google Keep, just so that everyone has access to it. Also, so that we can organize the content of the project and delegating tasks to people who specialize in a certain area, or to people who have that certain skill set.
I think it's a shame when you have people who are very talented, visual designers, not working on a PowerPoint, and instead you have someone who's much more comfortable doing research stuck on that. You're not really applying people to where they're most useful.
When I try to split work up for group members, I usually don't like to split it up with content-wise. So I would give a specific task to someone who's more specialized in that area, and I would want that person to do a larger portion of that task than someone else who's less familiar with it.
Don't be so concerned about everyone having the same amount of words or the same amount of speaking time in a presentation. Be more concerned of, well, is this person's speaking time going to be the best speaking time, or are this person's writing going to be the best writing?
There's always going to be a dominant force and a dominant voice leading the group in a particular direction, right? From that individual whom certain roles and work is evenly distributed. And I try to assign work in a democratic way where the decision is left up to that individual, but whether or not they feel like they're capable of completing that assignment. At the end of the day, if there is a difficult concept or topic, I prefer, honestly, to allow myself to do that. And people are not being strained on a topic that is difficult for them.
Not everyone's being difficult because they're being purposefully vindictive. Oftentimes they're just maybe confused or feel unprepared and need help. And you are a group, you are in this together, and you should communicate to them, like, are you stressed? Is there something you're confused about? Are you having trouble with time management? Do you want to work together? I find that it causes a lot less conflict. You end up having a better project at the end.
Well, a gut reaction is to always simply try to give a strong ultimatum, but from experience I've come to learn that that's not always the best method to do stuff.
What I will say is that upon occasion people are just being difficult, not really motivated or willing to do the work. In that case, I would find it really important to document a lot of your communications. Document when people do not hand in their work as, discussed online, and that afterwards you can present this to your professor or a peer mediator.
To start, you can always talk to your TA and prof. Let them know that there are some people that aren't willing to do some parts of the work or aren't pulling their weight. Another thing that you can do is, at the end of some projects, is a peer review, and you can write down in the peer review specifically what you and your group members did, what % of work in the project they've done, and that would let the TA or professor know that who actually did the work in the certain project, and let them know who didn't.
If you're working in a group that this is the first time you're meeting, working with these people, you don't really know them that well, to play it safe, start a concise email correspondence between you and your group members. Personally, what I find to be kind of useful in WhatsApp chat groups, Facebook groups, and chats, because you're able to get a quick and more direct response there. An email might take a couple hours or a couple days. While those methods might not seem the most professional, they are effective.
I think it's really important to meet in person. Things like Discord and Snapchat and Facebook Messenger are really good for organizing in-face meetups. It's also really good on updating everyone on your progress, but they really aren't a replacement for in-person meetings.
One method that I found most useful for communication is talking with your group in person. So when you're in a room just talking about the task, whether it's be organizing the content, organizing what you have to do, delegating tasks, they're all more impactful.
Everyone you feel more committed to the work when you're with people face to face. People are more accountable which is always something really important in group projects.